Welcome to How's Your Wine Season 2. We're here with my mentor from the Roots Fund, Chris, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself. He's got a 3 Parks Atlanta swag on, so I want to make sure he gets the floor and that's his thing. So Chris, introduce yourself.
What's up, everybody? I'm Chris McLloyd, wine professional based out of Atlanta, Georgia, also known as the hip hop song. Not 2, not 3, the hip hop song. Nah. Yeah. So thank you for having me on the show, Nelson. Like, for real, man. I've been
for sure. It's been a year since you've been my mentor, so I'm definitely been grateful for all the advice you've given me and all the connections you've helped me make.
No doubt. We're gonna keep it going too. Thank you for asking me to be on. I've been I've been tapping you, trying to in the show. But seriously, thank you for having me as your first guest for season 2.
Definitely appreciate you jumping on. So I know you just had a big trip out to NYC.
Yeah.
Tell the folks about that.
So I was fortunate enough to attend La Fête des Champagne, which is a big champagne festival in New York City, thrown by Daniel Johannesson, as well as Peter Lean, who's the master of champagne. He wrote a champagne book, so he's like the #1 guy for champagne right now. And I was asked to be one of the sommeliers in conjunction with me being in the Roots Fund. And that's how I got the opportunity. But when I tell you, this was probably this is the best wine event I've ever been to in my life. I've been to a lot of really good wine events, and no disrespect to any other ones, but for me, and being that I specialize in champagne as well, this was just big to rub shoulders with all the champenois that came into town to represent their wine. So you had some heavy hitters there, man, this year, and it was just a great time. There was other Roots Fund scholars as well that were able to be sommeliers and pour also, and it was just it was great to be there with community and be there amongst people that work with, and be there amongst people that look like me.
100%. So tell us about, because we all know, and I know you kind of has like the champagne poppy, not outside of Drake, but like you're really heavy on champagne. Why is champagne like your go-to for wine?
I've always been the fun guy. Like I've always been the fun guy. I can get pretty serious, but I'm a good time for the most part. And initially me getting into champagne, that's what I thought it represented, thought it represented a good time celebration. That's how it was previously marketed. But as I get further in my studies, and right now I'm enrolled in the Wine Scholar Guild's program for Champagne Master that I'm taking before the year's out, and passing before the year's out.
For sure, for sure.
But getting to know the wines, getting to know the villages, the regions has been great, has been fantastic. It's been a lot of information. Sometimes I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose, but for the most part, the intricacies of champagne, the expressions of chalk and clay throughout mostly chalk, but clay throughout some of the villages and the vineyards that play a big part in the champagne. So I like to drink champagne. People just think of it as sparkling wine, as bubbles, but it's real wine, you know what I mean? And outside of being, sparkling, there's true character in each bottle of champagne, depending on the producer in most parts.
So with you getting into this next level of champagne, what is your goal with that?
Stay tuned. I don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, stay tuned on that.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's not too many people. There's not too many champagne masters. I don't know the correct number. There could be. I've been meeting quite a few, but I think it's great to, I had someone tell me this before: specialize in something. You know, everybody's great. Everybody wants to be sommeliers and things like that, but specialize in something, like set yourself apart.
Mm-hmm.
And champagne was that for me. I hope, for every different wine professional, every different sommelier is different, what they're passionate about. But champagne is that for me. I love all wine though, but
Yeah.
I will like to point that out. I love all wine.
So tell us about how you got into the Roots Fund and what was your motivating factor to, start that journey.
During the pandemic, man, I was actually, prior to the pandemic, I was working in hospitality. Um, I worked at a restaurant, and then a few days I was working retail. And my retail, when the pandemic hit, restaurants closed, retail became like major for me. And I got to be exposed to so many different wines and things at different price points.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was, coming home. It was bored. We couldn't go anywhere. Even if we were in Atlanta, it was a lot more things to do here compared to, other cities. But still, it wasn't much. No one was really hanging out or anything. And I just was always on Instagram following some people, and came across some really cool people that looked like me once again, because it's very hard to find wine. It was at the time very hard to find wine professionals that look like me. As a whole, I mean, there's definitely there's quite a bit here in Atlanta, but at that time it was undiscovered. We weren't as connected as then. As we are now. So I met a few people. Actually, my friends from Wines for the Culture, Jamila, Janae. We started becoming really cool, and she mentioned this about the Roots Fund. About this program being great. Also, Dwight Dap was another one who was a part of it. And I'm always, for me, I'm a little apprehensive about joining different groups. Like I wasn't in a fraternity or anything like that. Like always felt like that wasn't my thing. So this was me like stepping out of my box, also doing something greater than myself as well. So that I found out about the Roots Fund through Wines for the Culture, through DAP, and yeah, I mean, the rest has been history. I think that when I got the scholarship for Champagne Master, the first event I did was the first annual Roots Fund Gala at Pier, I think it was Pier 60, which is where the Champagne event was, the Fête. But that's crazy. Mm. But yeah, that was the first event I worked. I got to introduce myself to Akimi, who's Akimi is like, she's a force, man. Yeah, man. She's like really opened doors for me that I at that particular time I didn't have access to, and I'm just forever grateful for her and her mentorship. 100%. But also just the community, man. Just the network of meeting people like yourself. You know what I mean? Meeting people that's not too far, but that are just as geeked about wine in this industry as I am. So the Roots Fund has been amazing for that.
No doubt. So obviously we got connected around this time last year, as I mentioned, to start the show. Since this time has passed, what would you say is like the number one thing that you've learned from being a mentor?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think the first thing is like, I never knew how much information I knew until I'm like, you know, spitting it out at you, um, and at other people that, you know, ask me questions. Because, you know, I was always taught that I just grew up in, I worked restaurants. So restaurants was a lot different. That culture was a lot different. I think I caught the tail end of like, you know, just like the bad restaurant culture. And um I was fortunate to have a really great beverage manager, Katie Reese at well, she was my beverage manager, Katie Reese for Fifth Group. So she was great. But I mean, it was tough. Working restaurants is tough. And also, you know, she knew I had a passion for wine and she helped me out a bit, you know, but you know, like I never knew how much information I had in my head, man. Like I would study every day, like wake up and study, come home from shift and study. I pop up, you know, a customer orders a bottle that I wasn't too familiar with prior to the list, you know what I mean?
Right.
To me working there, and you know, I would come home and study it and just like go out and seek information for myself. So I think mentorship has told me, you know, like has taught me that, hey, I do have a wealth of knowledge. And like now I see more wine professionals that are enthused about it that didn't necessarily go through restaurants, you know, like for like yourself, like your your background, your resume is impressive. You know what I mean? Like it's very impressive, but it was just it was in a different way, you know? And so I've always been around hospitality folks and I always thought, you know, everybody knew the same things, like, but that mentorship has proven that wrong.
Yeah, that's a dope answer. I didn't know you until I really got to know you as a person first. Like you weren't just a wine professional, you know. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing that I've learned from you is that you got to get down to like just chatting. You know what I'm saying? Like you are from South Carolina, then you moved up to Boston, and you moved to ATL. Like you have all this experience that you know someone like myself who's been homegrown in Dallas.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have that knowledge if it wasn't for the Roots Fund. So for that, I'm grateful for you and the Roots Fund and Ikemi for just being able to bring this network together.
Yeah, man. It's such a great thing. I want more people to join Roots Fund. I got a few people in mind that, you know, I'm going to reach out to. And
Hmm.
you brought something up in regards to like being a wine professional and just like, you know, a lot of times people get so stuck on wine, like that they forget about real life.
Yeah.
And, you know, we humans first, we beautiful beings first. So I always
Hmm.
connect with someone on that level, um, rather than, you know, me regurgitating all the information I have in my head about wine, because that's all secondary. I'm learning every day with wine, you know.
Hmm.
I think a lot of Psalms they've always felt, well, not a lot, but certain how when I was starting off, it was certain people that, you know, that were ahead of me in regards to wine, like had the knowledge, and either they would share or they wouldn't, you know. Uh they thought they knew everything. And like one big thing wine's taught me, you never listen, every day you learning something. And
Yeah.
I'm working in I'm back on the floor now, like in restaurants, and it's like, man, it's like riding a bike again. You know what I mean? Like I still got training wheels on right now because
Right.
it's tough. It's like me trying to get back in my groove, me trying to get comfortable and like be myself, you know? Not
Right.
you just you put so much pressure on yourself in a restaurant to like be right. I work at a really dope spot, which is like fine dining, which is like top notch. And you know, you always want to be on point. And it's like, but you gotta like, you know, you gotta be yourself, man. It sounds so simple, but sometimes it's very hard, you know. So you you always learning in the wine industry, man. On the wine side of things, you're always learning.
Yeah. See, still spitting bars, man. I appreciate that. So, how did you come up with the persona, the hip hop song? Where did that come from?
It's
The
kind of
fans want to know.
It's kind of silly now, but it's not. So my background, I went to college for music business management at Johnson C. Smith in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I thought I was the next Steve Stout, bro. Like, you couldn't tell me that I wasn't Stout. You couldn't tell me I wasn't Stout. Like,
on the beat, so?
No, just like Steve Stout is Nas' first manager, right?
Okay.
And like, he's a big inspiration for me. Like, a lot, a lot of people that don't really know him and what he is and who he is. But if you know, and he's done some major things, man. Like, kind of transitioning out to music. He's now doing like all the State Farm commercials and stuff with Chris Paul. That's his company. We Are Translation. And he started advertising hip hop and like spreading it, He has a really good book. What is it called? Tanning Lines. I'll get the name, but it's Tanning of America. And it's just talking about, raising how hip hop culture has become the number one culture, the number one music genre. And this is, I think the book, he wrote it like 10 years ago. So for him to transition out to music, transition out from working with Nas, working with Jay-Z, some really great artists, and transition into advertising, but always be hip hop, man. He was such an inspiration. And I always wanted to kind of emulate that and do the same thing. But my management career didn't quite last as long. But I always had wine in my pocket because during college, I was working as a server at this really nice spot. And I just caught the bug, man. That bug is, when people tell you the wine bug is for real, the wine bug is for real. And I caught the bug and I never looked back. I moved to Atlanta in 2017 with the goal in mind to become a sommelier. And, things have changed, but wine's always been the focus. Wine's always been the focus since I've been here. Mm-hmm. And to see my progression has been quite a bit crazy. The hip hop somm comes from that, me being in music business management. And, at the time, the reason I say it's funny, because the hip hop questions are, everybody has an opinion. Everybody thinks they know everything. And like, it's kind of like some of the, the wine industry culture with somms sometimes. But I'm like, I had to take a back to it because I'm not just hip hop. I'm everything. You know what I mean? I listen to tons of music, but yeah, that's what hip hop is, a culture too. I truly believe hip hop is culture before music. Like I bleed that. So it doesn't matter if I was doing classical ballroom dance or something like that. Like,
yeah, that's the vibe you always want to have.
I'm still representing hip hop because that's how I grew up. Like, that's where I come from.
Now, for you being in ATL, being a Black man in ATL, what challenges do you say you faced, in your wine career?
I mean, challenges is that, the wine industry was not for us. I mean, for people that look like me, for a Black man, it was, it was never like set up for us that way. I don't find it challenging. I just sometimes feel lonely. Like, sometimes I'm doing tasting events and I'm at different events and like, yo, I'm in Atlanta. Atlanta's Black as hell. Bro, it's only like,
yeah,
it's really only, it's a few other people out there as well, but like, it's lonely, man. I'm not saying it's only me, but it's
right.
It's lonely. So that's the major thing about the Roots Fund too, to kind of circle back, is like, it warms my heart. I get emotional every time I talk about it, like, truthfully, because I can talk to Amy Wright. I was just with Amy Wright. Shout out to Amy Wright, Baby Loves Wine on Instagram. I was just with her. Yeah, she is so knowledgeable. She's next level, man. She should be a master sommelier. Like she should be a MS. And I think she's on the diploma track for WSET. She's so knowledgeable. So for me to like talk to her, like we from the same block, same neighborhood, but we talking wine, is nothing like it. There's nothing like that. And so that's what I was missing out on, and even in Atlanta. So I think that's the only kind of challenge, there's always challenges, but I mean, that's the only really big challenge for me. If I'm comfortable, I can be great, I'll be great, but I can't be comfortable around, things I'm not used to and all the time. You know what I mean? It's cool to,
For sure.
Wine's very, you flaunt it, you gotta like put on, show off. It's cool. It's cool. But man, like sometimes that stuff wears off, you know what I mean? So you gotta make sure you're in it for the right reasons and for the love of the juice.
Facts. Couple more questions. I know it's Monday and you gotta get the rest of your week popping for sure. So when you think about some of the events that you've talked about, you've been to, you've also hosted a lot of events as well.
Yeah.
Talk about just the energy that you bring with those in ATL and even outside of Atlanta.
Yeah, man. So in Atlanta right now, I have about 3 side projects I'm really, really passionate about and I'm a part of, and founding members and on a team for. The first being Dive, which is a wine bar concept. That's a pop-up. So we take over restaurants on their days off. So generally it's like a Monday, Tuesday night. And either we're doing a residency or we're doing a one night only. We generally have a different chef every time. Or it's different food. We probably use the food from the restaurant, as far as the chef there, kind of highlight that with our wines. But, we change up the wine list. We make it more of a dive bar feel, it's like not pretentious. It's very welcoming, it's warm, and it's just like hanging out, listening to some good tunes and just hanging out with us. The second project is Select Few. A Select Few is a dinner club that I started with Wines for the Culture. That's Jamila and Aaron Mano. And man, I love dinner clubs, supper clubs, always have, and I always wanted to create one ever since I first started in 2017. And I wanted it to be accessible for everyone because I just feel like, especially in the South, like dining is a little different. Wine's a little intimidating for people that, people of color, some people of color in different communities that have not had access to wine. So we made a dinner club for that sole purpose to highlight a BIPOC chef first and foremost, and to put our spin on, on hosting a dinner party. And so the energy I bring, I'm fun, man. Like I want to have 100%. A good time. I always want to have a good time. I want to leave you with some gems, some knowledge. But at the end of the day, I want for people to enjoy themselves, meet meaningful people that sometimes turns into long-term friendships. And I just want to spread love, man. I just always want to spread love. So that's the second one. And one more. Sorry, I got a lot.
Go for it.
I got a lot.
Go for it. Hey, it's your world.
I've partnered with my boys Stefan Ringer and John Q, who had these are 2 DJs based out of Atlanta, based in house music. I always love house music. I have an affinity for it. And I was going to their events and I'm like, yo, y'all just need some wine, man, to make it better. So I partnered with them. And we've started Mood Elevator, which is always elevating your mood through music, through good vibes, and through wine. And so we do a monthly event at Gallery 992 in the West End in Atlanta. If people that don't live here, it's the hood. And it's purposely for that way. Purposely. It's this beautiful art gallery in the hood, man. It means so much. And I just, we're getting the word out. We have a membership club. It's going well. We're actually doing every Wednesdays at Palo Santo, which is a upscale Mexican restaurant here in Atlanta, Georgia.
That's fire, man. I'm glad to hear you got it popping out there. My last question for you.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we know, one of the things that we clicked on was sports, immediately once we kind of linked up.
Oh, I need some wine for this.
All right. So you have a dinner party and you pour in the most fire champagne.
Mm-hmm.
You can only invite 3 athletes.
Ooh.
Who you bringing out?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive?
Kobe Bryant, Randy Moss, KD, Kevin Durant.
KD. And why
Kevin
those 3?
Durant is after Kobe. I've always said this. I said after Kobe retires, Kevin Durant's going to be my favorite player. I followed him all throughout college at Texas, and man, I love his game. It's pure, it's beautiful. It's kind of how I feel about myself in wine. It's like, student of the game, always precise, but just super efficient, bro. Like
he's spitting bars, bro. Easy money sipper, bro.
KD, bro. Like to me, KD, he has the purest like skill set. There's great players. There's tons of great players, but he's my personal favorite right now.
Hey man, you're a lot of people's favorite, especially with the champagne game. So
thank you, bro.
We appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man, you've definitely been a great mentor for me. And I hope that I'm able to pass that down to other, people who are trying to get into the wine space. So much love to you. Where can people find you at on IG, on the socials? Where can they find you at, bro?
Yeah, man. Before I get into that, I just want to say, like, getting to know you, Nelson, as like a person, as a man, like, has been a blessing, bro, for me. And I really appreciate our friendship and our banter that we have, just when it comes to sport. And just like, you from the South, I want to represent the South well, and you represent the South well, and I want to, like, it's a lot of like wine professionals in bigger cities. They get a lot of love, especially up north, but the South, man, it's like, it's about the South. So I just really appreciate our relationship and how it's grown, from mentorship to just a true friendship to brotherhood. And I had so many people like be generous throughout my career, and I could never repay them back for drinking 1988 Krug and stuff like this, right? But I was always taught, a mentor of mine always taught me, just pay it forward, man. So I always want to pay it forward.
Hey, man. Definitely means a lot to me. Like I said, I'm going to do my best to pay it forward after that. Yeah. And just keep it going for the future generations of wine sippers. So, and wine enthusiasts and everybody in between.
Absolutely. You guys can follow me at the Hip Hop Psalm on Instagram. It's going to be in partnership with at Chris McLloyd, just my name. We're kind of blending the two right now. So either one of those pages, you can follow me and follow the Select Few Dinner Club on Instagram, Mood Elevator on Instagram, Dive Wine on Instagram, just to kind of check out the events. But, we getting shit popping down here in the A, bro. Got to get you down here, man.
Yeah, I need to swing through.
Yeah,
please. 2024 for sure.
2024. I'll bring you. Shout out to Three Parks Wine Shop. They're actually opening their second location right off the Beltline. Sarah Pierre is like a mentor, but a friend. I love her. She like had her first store, Black woman-owned wine shop for 10 years. So much love to Sarah.
Sure. Make sure you follow all the socials that Chris just shared with you. We'll make sure we tag those in the post, and the YouTube link on Spotify where you can listen and watch How's Your Wine. Thank you, Chris. for all the vibes tonight.
Yes, sir.
And again, follow How's Your Wine on IG, on YouTube, Spotify. We'll catch you for the next episode.
Cheers to you, man.
Cheers.